know I've been gone for a while. Motherhood is definitely a change. Um, but I do have the muffin here. He's no longer really a newborn. He's 2 months now. I'm kind of mad at myself because I didn't, make a video when he was a newborn. But here he is. His name is Nalo. And he is 2 months today, actually. So I guess this video will be pretty much my delivery experience, which didn't go as planned whatsoever. Wow. So to start out, my due date was October 10th. And of course, he didn't come before my due date or on the due date. And my fiance's parents had came from Alabama from eight hours away. So, hopefully he was going to come within the time they were here, and he did. But he came on the 15th, 5 whole days after he was supposed to come. And it was really stressful because, I had my appointment, and I was asking them, when do y'all induce someone? And she was like, well, we usually give you a week after your due date, and then we'll induce you. I did not want to be induced. I've heard, things about being induced, and it's just not something that I wanted to happen. I also didn't want my membrane swept, so, we made a plan. She was like, well, come back in. I think it was within like 4 days after my appointment, if your water doesn't break, and we'll sweep your membranes. So I was trying to avoid getting my membranes swept, and I was trying to avoid being induced. So we got down literally to the day, like the last day, pretty much. And I was supposed to have my membrane swept the next day at 1 o'clock, and my water actually broke on the 14th at 11:30 p.m. So I was laying in the bed, and I felt like 3 pops almost. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. I felt like 3 pops, and the last one was in my butt, and that one hurt, and it came with a contraction. And I was like, okay, that had to be something, but I wasn't going to psych myself out. So then I continued to lay there, and then I felt some water coming down. I was like, yes. But the thing that got me was I feel like a lot of people say, oh, it feels like you're peeing on yourself, but it doesn't, because where you pee from and where the water comes from is 2 different places. So it didn't feel like I was peeing on myself. But I got up, went to the bathroom, nothing else came out, so I was like, whatever, laid back down, and then some more came out, so I was like, okay. So I turned on the light, and I told my fiance, I was like, my water just broke. He didn't freak out or anything, but we got everything together. We left the house around probably about 12:30, and headed to the hospital. The contractions weren't too bad, but for some reason when I got in the car, they got, it was uncomfortable. So we got to the hospital. They're asking me a whole bunch of questions, when's your water break, blah, blah, blah. And went up into triage. So triage is there's just curtains separating you from the next patient. So I don't know, that kind of made me uncomfortable. It wasn't like a sick patient, it was another, woman in labor, but it just, I don't know. I don't like hospitals, so that just made me uncomfortable. So, by this point, the contractions are pretty painful, and I'm really questioning whether or not I can do this without an epidural. I don't know, but we're in triage. They have to check my cervix, which I was dreading, which I didn't even feel it at that point, because I guess it was opened a little bit more. I was only 1 to 2 centimeters, which devastated me because those contractions were really hurting. So they told me to walk for 2 hours and then come back. So by this time it was 1:45 in the morning, so we'd come back at 3:45 in the morning. And there really wasn't anywhere to walk, and we couldn't leave the 4th floor, which is the labor ward. So we just had to walk back and forth, which was very fucking just tedious. So we walked back and forth. Contractions were, out of hand at this point. I was breathing through. I was trying to make sure I didn't tense up, you know, because that makes them worse. But, you know, sometimes I'd have to stop walking and just, you know, breathe. And I had my fiance walking with me too, but that's all he pretty much did was just walk with me. My mom and my sister did make it in time. They actually made it while I was still walking because they live 2 hours away. But yeah, so around like 3:15, I had like another big gush, and they told me to come back if I had another big gush, so I did. And oh, the reason why they told me to go walk, I'm skipping all over stuff, it was because they used that little test strip to test and see if the fluid in your vagina is amniotic fluid. It's supposed to turn purple. My strip didn't turn purple, so she said there was no fluid in there. Like, what, I'm gonna lie about it? Like, so yeah, anyways, had another big gush, came back, they tested it, it was purple. Yay. And something that I found out while I was there is that I had group B. So I didn't know I had group B because my OB was supposed to they were supposed to call me and let me know about the group B test if it came back positive. They didn't do that. So, and I'm kind of glad I had group B because they got me into a room, you know, immediately so I could start the antibiotics. So, you know, there was that. So when I got in the room, I didn't want to, like I said, didn't want to get the epidural. So I was like, give me the Stadol. I think it's called Stadol or something. It doesn't affect the baby. Give me the Stadol, let me see how that works, and let's go from there. And they also made me watch a video on getting the epidural, which I do not remember at all because that Stadol, like, just took me out. But all it really did was make me sleepy, like make me woozy and sleepy. That's it. It did not take away the pain. I still felt every contraction that I had at full force. So Stadol was a no for me. You know, so I'm trying to bear through it, trying my best to bear through it. They checked me again. I'm 3 centimeters. I'm like, give me the epidural. I can't do this, you know. They say they can't give me the epidural because his heart rate had dropped. And I'm like, his heart rate dropped because I'm stressed out. I'm in pain. I need something. So, you know, I'm having these contractions and they're just telling me to breathe through it, which is what I'm doing. And I'm just like, when am I getting the epidural? When am I getting it? When am I getting it? When am I getting it? I didn't get the epidural till I was 6 centimeters. So there was that. What else? What else, boo-boo? Didn't get it till I was 6 centimeters. Before they gave it to me, they put me on oxygen, which made it harder for me to breathe. I couldn't breathe with that freaking oxygen mask on, so I had to take it off every time I had a contraction because I could not breathe. But the anesthesiologist came in. I forgot what he asked. He asked me like 3 questions. He had like a Mountain Dew in his hand. I'm sitting there in pain. And I'm just like, can I please get this freaking epidural before I freaking punch somebody in the face? But I eventually got it, and thank God. You know, it took about 10 minutes to kick in. But when it did, I was so serene and just, thank you, Jesus. So, you know, and I really didn't want it because, you know, the long-term effects of, you know, back pains that you might have and stuff like that. But, you know, there's no way I could have, there's no way. And I'm not saying, you know, you can't do it, but I actually had a bit of a complication. Hey, chill out. I had a bit of a complication. So his head was pinching my cervix. So my cervix was actually stuck between his head and my pelvis, which could have been why it hurt so bad. Oh, shit. You and that big head, bro. Oh, don't do that. So, anyways, got the epidural and I was good. They came in every hour, I think. Hey. And you know, turn me over or whatnot. I couldn't feel nothing. I couldn't feel whether my butt was out. I couldn't feel my legs. I couldn't feel the pain. It was great. But like I said, his head was pinching my cervix, so I actually had what they called a lip on my cervix, which is where my cervix was swollen because it was being pinched. During the, like, when I was starting to push, my midwife had to actually peel my cervix back over his head because that piece was still in the way. So I think that's actually why it hurt so bad. So with my second child, whenever I decide to have one, which is no time soon because that shit is traumatic, I'm gonna see, you know, I'm gonna see how long I can go without the epidural and, you know, see how that works out for me. But I pushed for an hour and 30 minutes. I couldn't feel nothing. They were like, push like, you know, you're trying to take a poop. I was like, I cannot feel my butt. I cannot feel anything. But I got him out. And they actually scooted the mirror over because I needed to see what everybody else was seeing to motivate myself because I was so tired. And, you know, when you get the epidural, you can't eat. Or any drug, really, you can't eat. So I was tired, y'all. Tired. But, yeah. That was pretty much... I mean, you know, nothing too serious. Like I said, my cervix kind of... Or his big head. Well, his head's not big, but he kind of messed me up. You messed me up, hump. But he was 7 pounds and 9 ounces. What is your problem? He was born 10/15, October 15th, 2019. Okay, so he was born October 15th, 2019 at 4:20 p.m. He weighed 7 pounds, 9 ounces. I think he was, she said he was 21 inches, I think. I really honestly don't remember. But yeah, being in labor, it flies by. With the epidural, it flies by. I don't know about doing it natural, but yeah. I didn't even realize, you know, it was 4 in the afternoon at that time, at that point. I don't know what, I feel like I missed a lot of stuff, but I mean, that's pretty much the bulk of it. I'll insert some of his newborn pictures so y'all can see what he looked like as a newborn, because he's definitely changed. Definitely gained some weight. He's not my little nugget no more. I am breastfeeding. I am going to do a video on breastfeeding. I know a lot of people do a video on breastfeeding, but I'm going to put my experience out there, and I'm going to just, you know, maybe it'll help somebody, because I don't have anyone that's breastfed, so I have no one to ask. I actually had to go to my health department lactation lactation consultant, and they helped me out because this shit is hard. Like, when people say breastfeeding is hard, it is. It really is, especially if you don't have help. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Anyway, so we had to stay in the hospital for like 2 days. I was so ready to go home. The nurses be coming in every hour. You don't get no sleep. Your baby's cluster feet and your nipples is about to fall off. It's hard. It was hard. Them first few weeks, man, I swear. Alright, well, Boo Boo is getting frustrated, so we gonna go. Say bye, fat cheeks. Hey. All right, well, my next video will be about breastfeeding, so watch out for that one. And if you like this video, please like it and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.